Hello to all of my data darlings out there, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a slightly different video. Today I am going to be going over all of the track records of the winners of US Drag Race and comparing and contrasting them and looking at the fun different statistics that come from that. If you've seen my channel, you obviously know that I love doing stats stuff. I like looking at track records and comparing them and everything. It is a genuine fun pastime of mine, and I thought having a video dedicated to it in a format like this might be interesting to do. So essentially, I've gone through and looked at all of the winners of US Drag Race and their track records, and I've put them all into a chart and have found some very interesting coincidences and statistics that I'm going to be showing to you all that some of them you've probably seen on other platforms as well, but some of these I think will be unique. Before we get into it, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy yourself. I love making this content for you all, and I'm very excited for All Stars 10. It's happening right now. It's so fun. And yeah, stay tuned for more Drag Race stuff. Okay, some kind of ground rules you need to get into regarding these statistics is I tracked how the winners competed over rounds, not episodes. And so what that means, so let's say, for example, season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Jada Essence Hall was the winner. She did not compete in the first episode of the season. She competed in episode 2. So even though that was episode 2, it was the first round of the competition she was able to compete in. So that round is counted as round 1, not round 2, because we are comparing and contrasting the way that they performed over the course of the season, regardless of the random twists and stuff that changed the way the episodes worked throughout the season. You know, if you're looking at season 13 of Drag Race, there was no regular challenge in episode 1. Simone won episode 2 and won episode 4. But those are the first 2 challenges she was able to compete in. She won her first 2 challenges. So those count as rounds 1 and 2. Because we're comparing, you know, their track records, their trajectories over the rounds that they competed in, and not the episodes specifically. Rounds that don't follow the typical placement format are not included in these track records and in these statistics, with only a couple exceptions. Those exceptions include the season 11 room mix, The Queens Everywhere. There was no winner for that challenge, but there was a bottom 2 and high placements and everything. And that is most typically treated as a normal episode of Drag Race, even though there wasn't a winner. So that one will be counted. And the season 14 Snatch Game and Lollapalooza combo episodes, those will be counted as individual episodes, with Willow being bottom and then safe. And then the season 15 Lollapalooza, we have Sasha Colby counted as safe there as well. Because even though they don't follow typical formats, they are essentially treated as such. So since they are treated like that, we are going to treat them as that in this video. So episodes that are not included are any of the episodes where the top 4 compete in a thing, but then they all just move on to the finale. So you know, you have like the top 3 episodes of seasons 4 and 5, the top 4 episodes of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, the top 4 episode of season 13. All of those episodes are not included in this because there are not typical placements given out to the contestants. The first episode of season 13 with the, you know, lip syncs also does not count. There might be other things that are counted towards the exceptions or not counted that I'm forgetting to mention. If there are, I'll put them on screen right now, but I do believe that is everything. When calculating track records, I use the PPE scoring system, which is the scoring system that essentially counts a win as 5 points, high as 4, safe as 3, low as 2, bottom 2 is 1, and then adds up all those numbers, divides them by the amount of rounds they competed in, bada boom, that's their score. That's the scoring system I've always used. It's the one I'm always going to use. Yeah, just wanted to make that clear. And the winners of seasons 2 and 4 of Drag Race have their data included, but their stats are not going to be talked about. I have their data included just for the sake of, you know, getting all the accurate information. But we're not going to talk about any stats including them because, you know, because I'm not going to give them a platform. So let us get into it. Here are all of the track records of the winners of the US seasons of Drag Race with their PPE scores attached at the end. There are some very interesting distinctions to be made between some of these and some very interesting similarities that come about when you look at the track records in this kind of charted format. The first thing I did is I wanted to look at and see what the average Drag Race winner's track record looks like. The way that I did that is I counted the frequency of each placement across all the winners' track records, and then divided that by the amount of winners to determine, on average, how many bottoms, wins, lows, safes, and highs a winner will have. Over all of the winners, there were 12 bottom placements, 12 bottom twos slash the bottom 7 for Willow. And so dividing that by 17, you get that on average, a winner is going to have 0.71 bottom placements. Looking at all of these and combining all the numbers, it suffices to say that the average winner of Drag Race gets 3 wins, either 3 or 4 high placements, 3 safes, 1 low, and 1 bottom 2. And so I went to look and see if anybody actually follows that exact track record, and somebody does. And that is Raja. Raja had 3 wins, 4 highs, 3 safes, 1 low, and 1 bottom 2 on season 3 of Drag Race. So Raja has the quintessential Drag Race winner track record of all time, just looking at placements. The next closest person is actually Jada Essence Hall. Jada has 3 wins, 3 highs, 4 safes, 0 lows, and 1 bottom 2. So if you switch that safe to a low, that is also entirely perfect. Of averaging it out. She just has 3 highs instead of 4 because she had 1 less episode to compete, and then Raja did. It is very interesting, and also looking at all of the PPE scores of all of the winners of Drag Race and finding the median one. Raja also has the dead middle PPE score of 3.58. So Raja, in terms of all the US Drag Race winners, is the dead middle average on her competition and how she placed on the season, which I think is really interesting because Raja is somebody who obviously did super well on season 3, and I'm not going to say is overhyped. I think she could have placed better on season 3 at certain points, but it's interesting that exactly half the field did better than her and half the field did worse than her. Something very interesting I found out when doing this, and what I think may be the most interesting thing, is that more winners of US Drag Race have won their 9th challenge of the season than have not, which is very crazy. Also considering the fact that 2 people didn't even get a chance to have a 9th challenge to compete in. The winners of seasons 2 through 6 all won their 9th challenge of the season, all in a row. BB did not have a chance to win the ninth challenge because she didn't have one. And so the fact that 5 winners in a row, as soon as they were able to, won their 9th challenge of the season is crazy. And even if you look at all of the winners of Challenge 9 on US Drag Race, 9 of those people won their season and 7 did not. And the reason it is 7 instead of 6 is because one of them is Sasha and Shay's double win for the acting challenge on season 9 that they both won. So Shay did win that challenge, but she didn't win her season. And then there were 6 other winners who did not win that challenge and did not win their season. So I think that is super interesting, that statistic. I don't think there's any reasoning behind it, potentially other than the fact that, as we get later into the season, obviously the winners are going to be doing well because they've been doing well throughout the season. And especially in the earlier seasons, they would all end at about 11, maybe 12. And so as you're getting deeper in there, they just have a greater chance of having won a later challenge because they were already doing well. We already know they eventually won. And so they just all happen to coalesce around this 9th round barrier, which is really interesting to me. Something else I also found that is super interesting is that no winner of US Drag Race has ever placed below safe in the first 4 rounds of their season, which is super interesting that 17 people have won US Drag Race, and this has not happened at all. There are winners in international seasons who have placed below safe in their first 4 episodes. People who come to mind right at the top of my head are Spanky Jackson, who was in the bottom for her first episode. Kita Mean, I think, was low for her 4th episode. I think Vanessa Van Cartier was low for like her 4th episode. And there are definitely others out there, but the fact that none of these 17 people were low or in the bottom for their first 4 episodes is very interesting to me. I think it's a really crazy statistic. And I just think it's really interesting that that's what ended up happening. Now to look at some specific statistics. Longest to top and without being in the top, and the longest streak in the top. Aquarius, oh my god. I think I mixed up words. Aquaria took the longest to place in the top, only placing in the top on her 4th episode that she competed in. The longest amount of time not placing in the top during any stretch of the season was Violet Chachki, who had 5 episodes in a row of being safe or lower, being in her 3rd through 7th rounds of her season. And then Jinx Monsoon has the longest streak of being in the top with 8 rounds in a row of being in the top, which is super impressive. Considering that she only had 11 episodes. So yeah, very impressive there from Jinx. The first people to reach multiples of wins, Simone was the first person to reach 2 wins, reaching 2 wins on the 2nd round that she competed in, so with a perfect record up to that point. The first person to reach 3 wins was Bob the Drag Queen, reaching 3 wins on her 7th round of competition. And the first person to reach 4 wins was Simone, again, getting a distinction here. She reached 4 wins on her 9th round of her season. The first to be in the bottom and the first to bottom twice, BB and Violet tie for the first time that they were below safe, which is on their 5th episode of the competition. And the first person to bottom twice was Violet Chachki, who ended up doing that on her 9th round of the competition, which isn't that bad, honestly, because in the next round immediately after this, I believe like 4 people fall into the bottom for their 2nd time. So she's just an episode ahead of all of them. But it's interesting that it takes that the minimum amount of rounds it's taken for a winner to fall into the bottom multiple times is 9, which feels like a lot. I mean, that's over half the season for every single Drag Race season, longer than some Drag Race seasons. Some other interesting statistics that I want to point out is nobody has more than 2 lows/bottom placements. As of now in US Drag Race, if you have like 2 lows and 1 bottom 2, you can't win. That's what it is up to this point. 7 people never placed in the bottom 2, and 1 never placed below safe. The one never placing below safe was obviously Bianca Del Rio. Some other miscellaneous stats I thought were interesting and that I wanted to go over is that only 1 winner placed safe on their 8th round of their competition, which was, again, Bianca Del Rio. Everybody else was either in the top or the bottom, which is crazy to me. Nobody won their 12th round of competition, which granted, only 6 people have had the opportunity to win their 12th challenge of the season, but that is interesting considering that is so deep at the end of the season, the numbers are so small that you would assume that somebody would have won their 12th challenge, but nobody has. Only 1 winner was high on their 9th challenge of the season, which is interesting to me because, again, that's pretty late into the season. You're expecting more tops to be happening at the end because there's less safe placements. And so I would expect, some of those wins to actually be highs, but nope, there's just a fuck ton of wins and only 1 high, and that 1 high is Aquaria. And then also interesting, looking at round 9 and round 10, we've already mentioned that 9 people won their 9th round of the competition. Of the 8 that had a round 10 to compete in, half of them went straight to the bottom afterwards, 2 immediately getting a low placement and 2 of them immediately placing in the bottom 2. which I think is pretty interesting. And then since it's towards the end of the season, it does make some sense because they usually do like, just tops and bottoms at that point, but no winner has a recorded low placement in rounds 11 through 13 of their season, which again, is interesting that that is the case. I think based off of the way that like the Drag Race Wiki and based off the way that the Drag Race Wiki like does track records, which I've totally forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, is who I referenced for the track records listed here. There are slight distinctions that I would make if these were mine, but I'm going off of the most common source that people look at for looking at these track records and comparing and contrasting them. But I think the only person who technically could have placed safe for any of those rounds would have been Willow in season 14, because there were 7 contestants in rounds 11 and 12 of season 14. Willow technically did have the chance to place safe on both of those, but she placed high. And I don't think anybody else had that opportunity to potentially even place safe. I could be wrong, but I do believe that that is the case. Well, that is all the statistics I had to go over. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed yourself, and leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below. As always, I will leave my links to my other social media platforms down below. And again, thank you guys so much again, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.